Hey there, and welcome to the instructor-led training series for MD-4011. My name's Lockie, I'm a Microsoft technical trainer, and it's great to be here with you. In this module, we are going to be covering Intune. I need to focus on the essentials of how Intune works, what you actually get out of it, and a little bit of what's in it for you? Well, what's in it for me, I suppose. Intune is a core feature of Microsoft's ecosystem, and it is focused on end-user device management. We're going to look at a range of different components of Intune, so you've got a good understanding. So when we do look in a security context later, we are able to understand how all of these pieces are going to fit into the puzzle. The first is that we need to just go through the core features. Intune has a lot available to you, so I'm going to show you what you have available, what features are going to be most useful to you, and sort of the why people are moving to Intune en masse. We're going to be searching then at a few different capability functions. First, a little bit about device management and how you can use this to actually manage your devices, enforce certain policies, and keep devices in lockstep with what you're expecting out of them. We'll look at how you can manage applications in your environment and roll those out to devices in a compliant manner. Speaking of compliance, we're going to look at how security comes into the fray. Less in terms of what we'll look at later, in terms of Copilot security, and more how we actually secure end-user devices. And last of all, it's about you. Those that are actually managing end-user devices, I'm going to show you what you have available, how you can optimize your delivery strategies and actually get unified device management across all of your platforms. So let's start with those core features. And there is a lot. What you're seeing here is just a subset of the main features that Intune has available to you. So rather than me just listing them one by one, going through how device enrollment works and what remote actions are, I like to think of this in a slightly different way. For me, Intune covers 5 broad categories, covering a range of features within our environment. Let's go through them one by one. The first is device management. Now, when it comes to device management in Intune, we're not just talking about laptops. This is beyond just your Windows devices. We are looking at Windows, we're looking at Mac OS, but we're also looking at iOS and Android. No matter the type of device you are looking to enroll in an environment, Intune is able to push out consistent policies and ensure that you have consistency across all of your devices. But it's more than just device type in terms of operating system or ecosystem. It's also device type in terms of how that device actually ends up in your end user hands. Regardless of whether you are using bring your own devices, your users basically go and purchase a laptop or a phone from wherever they need to purchase that normally, and then you enroll them into the environment and set standards about what must be done. Or if you own those devices outright, you ship them to them, they are compliant, and you know end to end, all the way through its life cycle, exactly where that device was, you are able to perform consistent remote actions, perform consistent levels of protection and security checks, and ensure that they are compliant no matter the scenario you're looking for. Now, one of the core features that we have within Intune is integration with other platforms. It's going to be something we look at a little bit later in this list. But for now, I actually want to show you something that you can do to keep consistent login environments across all of your device types, and that is conditional access. Conditional access is the thing that allows us to say whether or not a user is allowed to log into your environment. And this is broad. It can be based on application, it can be based on where they physically are, and it can be based on the type of device that they have access to. So let's jump into the Azure portal now and go take a look at what it takes to set up a conditional access policy. Welcome to the Conditional Access Policies page. Here we're able to go through and take a look at the different types of policies, and I'll show you how to navigate through the portal itself. Now, over on the top left-hand side, we can see that we're currently on the overview page. And just below that, this is going to be where we'd see any policies that are currently applied to the environment itself. Now, there are a couple of different modes we can leverage, either a watch and enforce mode, taking into account which one is going to make the most sense for what we do. Basically, we just need to test our policies before we use them to ensure that we are not blocking users where we shouldn't. Now, in Intune, we can leverage these conditional access policies in order to prevent login within certain scenarios. It just depends on what your particular requirements are. Now, for me, I prefer to create policies from templates wherever possible. We have a large range of inbuilt templates available for you to be able to leverage out of the box. For example, here we have a policy that is focused on the required compliance of a hybrid Azure AD joined device or multi-factor for all users. This will allow you to protect company resources in a clear, managed way. Additionally, it forces that we require a compliant device to be able to access the environment. We can see this as part of our Zero Trust Secure Foundation and is going to be applied to all users except those who are synchronized from a directory. This is a relatively complex policy in the scheme of things, and because of its ability to be able to control based on a range of different applications, in this particular case we will apply to all apps, this gives us quite a bit of flexibility. In the context of a conditional access policy, an app could be something like the Azure portal, Microsoft 365, Office 365, or a custom application in your environment. Here we see that we can grant access in a number of different ways. One of the above must be true. Multi-factor authentication has been passed, or a device is compliant, this requires Intune, or we are a hybrid joined device. Beyond this, there is a number of other really important built-in policies that we can leverage, and it just depends on what particular category you're looking at. As an example, our remote work category has a number of, remote work-based policies. Things that are focused specifically on environments like what we have in a modern enterprise. As a key example, we can force multi-factor authentication for all users in our environment, or potentially we can look at something a little bit more nuanced. Here we have the ability to block access for unknown devices that are on an unsupported platform. Effectively, if we can't manage them with Intune or we don't recognize the platform they're using, then we deny access to the environment. So it must be on our list of supported platforms here. Now, whilst there are a number of different inbuilt policies we can leverage, you are not beholden to them. If you wish to create a policy from scratch, you absolutely can. Up in the top of the screen, there is a Create New Policy button, which we can click. Through here, we need to start filling out the prompts. First is a name. Give it something that is recognizable, and when someone triggers this, you'll know what's happening. Next, we need to choose what users are going to be affected by this. Easiest is to include or exclude users based on groups rather than as individuals. Alternatively, we can target all users. We can also target different types of resources. This is formerly known as a cloud application. Here we can go through and load up a couple of different cloud applications that are relevant. My example that I'm going to choose here, once it loads up, is Office 365. That is an extremely important thing which we may wish to apply a specific conditional access policy to. Beyond this, we can also start to select things like trusted locations in a network sense. So you must be coming from a known trusted network or an internal network, or be just on the internal network within your enterprise environment. This can also be tied to physical location, so it's a bit of a twofer. Last of all, there is a wide range of different conditions we can follow, such as what type of device a user is on, what location or country they are located in, what sort of application they're using. There is many different things that you can potentially select here, which is why I like to start with those inbuilt policies as a first port of call. Now, beyond this, we then need to decide what actually happens to the user. If they've passed all of these various controls here, what happens next? First, enable your policy in a report-only mode. This allows you to check to see if it's going to affect users. And then, once you're confident it's going to work as intended, turn it on. Now, last of all, let's go take a look at what policies are currently implemented and see what happens with a policy that is running. Here we can see I currently have 4 different policies in my environment, looking at a whole range of different factors. When we start to look at these policies, we can view the policy state and the compliance, as well as seeing what the potential outcome would be for users in a what-if scenario. Make sure you test your policies first to see what the impact will be for your users. Okay, now that we've had a look at the conditional access policies and how those work, I hope you're able to see how we could potentially leverage this for applications in your environment. But Intune provides more than just that integration at that point. We can actually control, using Intune, exactly how apps are used. Whether you allow them on BYO devices or they are only used in corp devices, the type of device that they're allowed to be enrolled on, where they can be used, is all something you control. And critically, you also are able to protect the data within it. Now, this is bleeding a little bit into our security space, but it is important for us to know. Because we are able to control where data is, we are able to ensure that applications are used in the right way, in the right location, at the right moment by the right people. Your data can be secured in whatever way makes sense for you. Whether you're enforcing something as simple as a minimum password standard or something as complex as ensuring encryption is applied within an environment, you're able to handle that across devices, across all environments in your environment. Data protection and compliance is that second key component of security, though. If someone has brought their own device into an environment here, and you are using it in your business, we need to separate personal and business. Intune supports this out of the box and gives you key metrics to be able to show how that separation is actually working. So, no matter the type of device, you can be confident that it is secure, compliant, and meeting your users' needs. Now, our last 2 here, they're broad categories, right? Reporting and analytics and integration. The reason that I've left these for last is because they're important, but for different reasons than you might think. Of course, it's great to be able to have business reports, to be able to show how devices are performing, what's out there, what's compliant, what needs to be replaced or refreshed. But for me, the fact that that reporting integrates in with the rest of the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, so you're able to get access to things like advanced threat protection. You're able to utilize Entra. We've already seen how that can be used as part of conditional access. Within our M365 space more broadly, integrating with maybe some of our business requirements around data classification or certain types of access points. Even right down to our ability to audit and integrate with auditing trails. This is a key component of Intune, and it is something that without it, a business can struggle to actually identify that they are compliant in the right way. So, how do we ensure that you are rolling things out as good as possible? And that could mean a whole range of different things. What we're interested in is finding the right ways to optimize your rollout. Now, there is many ways to enroll a device in Intune, and we are looking to leverage whatever the native solution for that platform is. For example, we support Autopilot for Windows to be able to enroll devices automatically. As a user signs in with an Entra ID login, we can ensure that they are going to get a compliant device based on the profiles that you set. We can also look at things like Apple's program to be able to enroll. We support Android Enterprise. So take your pick. As long as we're able to target using that native tooling and we are able to set whatever it is that you require, we can ensure that things are going to work well. The way that we do this is through config profiles. These config profiles are the things that allow us to set what a compliant iOS device looks like. And it might not be something like a unified setup for everybody. Maybe your C-suite needs something a little bit more specific. Maybe it's slightly more open in some ways, but much more locked down in terms of how they can access data. What happens if a device is stolen? Maybe we ensure that BYO is not possible when it comes to those highly secure devices. The point is that Intune is designed to be a setup and rollout style. You are able to go through, define what those structures look like, and then get them out to everybody as quickly as possible. The way that we do this, of course, is using those native toolings, but it's integration. Because we have a unified portal where you manage all of this from one location, you can be ensured that you are getting a true single pane of glass. I hate the phrase, but we actually do have it at this point. It is a point where you can actually manage all types of devices from a single location. If you need to ensure that a Chromium version is updated on all devices, you can manage that through the same portal that allows you to see whether those devices are compliant in other ways, whether it be operating system patching, whether it be application versioning, or even down to firmware. There is so much that we can do with Intune's single pane of glass management system. And the fact that it allows for things like remote actions, the ability to actually take action against a device without it being in front of you, is key for any sort of remote work environment. So, no matter what you are looking to do, if it is related to mass enrollment or mass rollout or mass protection of devices for your end users, Intune is the solution to look to. Okay, let's summarize now. Ultimately, Intune is designed to be your one-stop shop for device management. Regardless of whether you are rolling out mobile devices, laptops, desktops, the point is you are able to create key profiles and ensure that everyone who is using the same type of device and using it in the same way gets the same privileges, the same profiles, the same applications. Customization is simple and is unified through that one portal management system. So it is a great way for us to be able to integrate with the rest of the ecosystem and start leveraging the power of Microsoft. Looking forward to seeing you in some future modules where we talk through some of the other security ecosystem offerings that are great with Intune.